I'm live. Howdy, howdy, howdy. How is everyone doing? A good Monday evening to y'all. Right in the middle of the Big Brother 24 season. Y'all realize that we are night 39. I guess this is day 40. There's 82 days left in Big Brother. We're to the halfway point. It's been incredible so far. Hope y'all are doing well. Let me start off with a big old SKD 143. Love my wife. Love the kids. Love the fans of reality TV, especially love the fans of Big Brother, and especially love the fans that come out here to chat with me every Monday evening. I'm so appreciative, guys. Thank you so much. It means so much getting to come out here and talk to y'all. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, now, with that being said, for those of you who maybe aren't watching live but are watching later on a replay, welcome to y'all as well. And to all of y'all, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Subscribe, turn on your notifications. Go hit the little thumbs up underneath there, and I'd be appreciative of all of it. All right, with that being said, let me go out there and see all my friends out here this evening. It's perfect weather down here in Houston. I'm not that I wasn't going to do the show, but I sure was almost tempted to go outside and do it from outside, except the planes are just as loud down here in Houston as they are over in the Big Brother house, and they can get so loud during the afternoon and evening. All right, who do we have out here? Marilyn Sutherland. Howdy, Marilyn. How are you doing? Cindy Hire. Hi, Cindy. Paula Scar, Brian Hostetler, Mark Taylor, Jake the Horror Movie Geek, Andy W., Keith Franken. It is so cool. I recognize all these names every single time. It's just great. Mark, I think I may have said, but that's all right. I'll say again. Kaylin's Magical Playhouse. I don't recognize that login name, but that's a pretty cool little login name. Bing Bong, XX Typhoid, Holly A, Annie Berger. Hey, Annie. Ben Conover, Jacoby All-Star. Now, there's a login name for you. Janet Johnson. Hey, Janet, how are you? Patty C, Tommy Figure, Flanagan, Kathy Beal. It's probably Beal, isn't it, right? And not enough coffee in the world. Man, I can agree with that. There are days that, especially staying up all night watching these live feeds, there are nights there's not enough coffee in the hog household. I'll tell you that much. LJ Price, Linda Reynolds, Lori Madsen, Kathy Romanek, Josie with the heart, Lori Jean, and Robin Maynard. All right, we're gonna cut off right there because otherwise I can just be talking all evening. Thanks to each and every one of you. I do appreciate it. Are y'all enjoying Big Brother? Is it going the way you thought it should, or I don't know? I mean, you never think it's never going to go exactly the way you think with all these twists and everything else, right? I'm really curious to talk about this new twist coming up next Thursday and what y'all think is going to happen with that, because I don't have a clue. Well, I don't know. I'm making guesses, and we'll talk about it and see. But I got to say, I've enjoyed it so far. I thought it maybe was going to be a little bit of a steamroll at one point, and then I thought maybe a little bit of a steamroll the other point when we started having the leftovers taking over. Not that they aren't still in control right now, but I don't think it's going to last too much longer, and I'm okay with that. You don't want too predictable, right? So I think it's not going to be that with this twist. All right, a couple of questions as we get into it. Mark Taylor, who makes the coffee in the morning? I have a bet with my son. Well, Mark, sure as heck not going to be anyone from the Big Brother group that from the production or cameraman or anything else. Now, I'm sure, as boring as it probably is for the house guest in the house, I can only imagine working as a cameraman, being stuck behind some walls, getting to record someone doing their makeup or brushing their teeth for the first few hours of the morning. You talk about boring. I can only imagine how bad some of that stuff must be. Can you picture that? What'd you do at work today, honey? There's a guy inside the house. He took a shower 3 times and he brushed his teeth 14 times and I even flossed once. What a way to just sit there and film that stuff. But no, the answer to the question, we most certainly made our own coffee. During my season, Mickey made a lot of coffee. I made a lot of coffee as well. We were both the caffeine addicts in that house. Now, there were a lot of soft drinks. They even had Dr. Pepper. Thank you, Big Brother. I thought that was very nice of them to do that. There were a lot of soft drinks in there. Lord knows I drank a lot of those as well. But in the morning, there's just nothing like that hot cup of coffee. And so we made it all. One of the more funny pranks that happened in the house is David Alexander, I think right before he got evicted, actually took the decaf coffee and switched it, poured it out, poured the caffeinated coffee into that can, poured the decaf coffee into the caffeinated can, left it out, Didn't tell anyone. So here's Mickey and I. We're just drinking that coffee on, and not doing a thing for us. And then we find out later because he switched the coffee out, which I thought was pretty funny. Mickey, not so much. Mickey was a little more dependent on that coffee to get him going in the morning, and he wasn't real appreciative of that little prank. I'm always going for the pranks. Even if it's a prank pulled on me, I'm still all for pranks in that house because it gets so boring in there. So, yeah, we made our own coffee every single day that we were in there. All right, what else do we have on here? Patty, has a patio always been there? No, it hadn't. And I got to say, I wish it'd been there during my season because when you're sitting on the ground in the backyard, those walls are high. They're like 30 feet up. So you really can't see anything except just a few treetops and the planes flying overhead. And I mentioned it's loud down here. Those planes get really loud that fly over the Big Brother house because there's an airport, Burbank Airport, real close to the studio. And so they'd be pretty low and they'd fly overhead and all that. But no, there wasn't a patio there during my season. There wasn't a patio there during All-Stars, but if you remember, Dr. Will had his little hangout or something up in the upstairs level. And so there was a little patio for him that time. I think the first time they actually had a patio that the house guests could go in was last season, 23. And they hung around up there and did some parties and everything. And then they kept it. And I guess that spiral staircase that gets you up to that patio is the one that used to be inside the Big Brother house. I mean, that would make sense, right? Now, here's a little inside scoop for you. Most of you probably know this, but if you were to stand in the yard and look around on kind of what would be the second level of that outdoor enclosure, is a walkway that goes all the way around the backyard where the patio is in that section. But if you were to continue to walk around the whole rest of the backyard, there's a little walkway that goes all the way around it. And that's where during all the challenges and the competitions, you can picture us all down low doing slip and slide or the wall, whatever it is. Well, there's always, I don't know, a dozen or so people up on that walkway, and they've got the handheld cameras and they've got the jib cameras that are out on those little cranes, and lots of people with headsets on and people that are reading the rules, I guess, and keeping track of who's doing what and times and commercial or whatever they do. So there's all those people watching us when we do the broadcast. Now, they were never allowed to talk to us, and we were never allowed to talk to them, except for the official, read the rules kind of person, things like that. So there was no communication, but we would see them up there all while we were doing the challenge and everything. So there is a walkway up there, and they just turned part of it into the patio. And yeah, I would have loved to have been up there just to get a little more view of the skyline and everything else that was around you. So yeah, we had that. All right, what else did we have on there? Brian Hustetter, yes, live audience Thursday. I saw that, Brian. I saw a little deal that you could apply for tickets to get in. Man, if I lived in Los Angeles, I would be knocking on that door saying, let me take a look at it and see. It is going to, I wonder how the house guests are going to respond when someone's evicted and they open the door and there's people on the other side staring at them and clapping and everything else. We knew when the live audience was out there. We were getting ready for the eviction episode, the last minute trips to the bathroom, getting drinks of water, girls all hairspray, doing the stuff they need to do. And all while they're doing that, every once in a while you would hear a laugh outside. Just not loud. You just barely hear it, but you hear a little bit of a rumble. And I think maybe they probably have a comedian or someone come out and try to get the audience pumped up a little bit. Well, we could hear that. And it's kind of like before a Broadway performance or theater performance or something starts, you start getting a little tension. You're like, oh, it's getting ready to happen. Here it goes. And so, yeah, I'm guessing that the house guests probably will be told that, hey, guys, just so you know, there is a live audience on the other side of this wall. So, when someone's evicted, y'all are going to see crowds out there and things like that. Yeah, I'm glad to see it. Now, I know there's all kinds of protocols in place. Everyone has to wear a mask. You got to have all kinds of documentation and all that. It doesn't matter. Just the fact that they're going to be able to get out, see other people on the other side. Not this thing Juliet nice, but yeah, I'm talking real people, regular old people on the other side of that wall. It's going to be a big deal for the house guests. I'm glad that they're to the point of doing that. And it makes me excited to think at some point, and I don't know if it'll be this season, next season, at some point I want to be in that audience and just waving and cheering and getting to see it from the other side of the wall, as opposed to walking out saying, hey, Julie, just got evicted. Joy, joy, joy. Yeah, I want to be on the other side cheering for whoever just got booted as well. All right, let's see what else we have on here. Janet Johnson, does everyone get their own bed? I think they do now. Not when I was in there. When I was in there, 16 people, and I guess we had 8 beds. I feel like we even had less than that at some point. In fact, I think we did, because I think in my room, the target room, there's a round bed. And I feel like the first couple of nights, there were 3 people sleeping on that bed until Christy got her HOH room, I think. But no, we all slept 2 to a bed, because Ovi slept next to me. And the first thing Ovi does when we're all trying to get in bed is Ovi says, normally I sleep naked. I said, well, I'm glad this is a normal situation, because you ain't sleeping naked next to me, Ovi. But he did that. It's different now because of the COVID protocols and all that. They do COVID testing once a week. You would think if someone's got COVID, it's probably not going to matter whether you're 2 to a bed or 1 to a bed. It's going to spread like wildfire in that house, because you're all so close and crammed together and everything else. But just for appearance's sake, and just to be super extra cautious and all that, they don't sleep 2 to a bed anymore. They sleep 1 to a bed. I would have liked that. I mean, it's not the end of the world. And by the end of the season, I had whole rooms to myself. And so it really was only the first 5 weeks or so. And then you start losing enough people that you could kind of get your own beds. But yeah, at the start, we were squeezed in pretty tight, which made it tough, because in that target room, there were 3 beds. So 2 to a bed, 2 to 4, and then 3 on that. So there were 7 people in that room, the target room. That's a lot of people to be getting up and down, moving around in the night, snoring, people whispering. I snored. I know I drove people crazy. Christy and Sis would sit in there and whisper and think that no one could hear them. I'm pretty good about snoring even when I'm awake. They hear enough of it that I could be awake and still do some of this, and they would think I was asleep, and then I could eavesdrop to them, listen to them plotting, conspiring, and all of that. So we all had our own little tricks and secrets while we were in the house. But yeah, nowadays everyone's got a bed to themselves, which is pretty good. All right. Lori Jean, can't wait for the twist. How do you think they'll accomplish it logistically? I don't know. Because here's what Julie told us, and I'm amazed we haven't heard more about it. First off, for those of you who don't know, I'll just say it right now. This is not spoiler-free zone. We'll talk about some spoilers. This isn't necessarily a spoiler, but I just want to say it while I'm thinking it for other stuff. But yeah, Julie told us that they're going to be split into 2 groups. They're not going to have any interactions with each other. And that by the end of the evening, I think they'll have a double eviction, like we've never seen before. I don't know. At one point, I thought maybe they'd spend a week apart from each other, like a regular week, but just split up. And then someone had posted on my YouTube channel when I do my morning recaps every morning, someone had posted on one of those and said they thought maybe it would be, because it's a 2-hour live episode on Thursday night, right? And if that's the case, they thought maybe have the standard eviction, send out whoever's going to go home, which probably is going to be Indy, based on what we're seeing now. But send someone home, so you've got 10 people left, 5 people per team, and at that point, have 2 HOH competitions to determine 2 HOHs, have 2 veto competitions to determine, or have your nominations, and then have 2 veto competitions, and then you have 2 separate evictions that take place in that 2-hour episode. So by the time you get through with that 2 hours, at that point, maybe they come back together as a single group, but now they've lost 2 people. And all of that makes sense, I suppose. I mean, it seems a lot more logical or logistical to do it like that, as opposed to have people split up for an entire week. The only reason I wonder if maybe that's not quite the case is because there's a couple of people who've posted out there saying that they've been told, supposedly insider information and all that there's going to be one group that may be out in the backyard and one group indoors, and the group outdoors may be sleeping in tents or something. I don't know how this is going to work. Here's the reason I don't think that could work. If you have people sleeping outdoors and living outdoors, where are they going to build the competitions for HOH and veto and everything else? They're running out of real estate when they do that. So I'm really leaning more towards the first one of just do it all in a 2-hour period. But with that being said, think about how many competitions we're going to have. We're going to have 2 HOH competitions and 2 veto competitions. That's 4 separate competitions that's going to take place in that 2-hour episode. Do they have enough room in that backyard to do all that. They're going to have to multi-purpose. One of them is going to have to be booths that people stand in, and both sides will use that booth. And then maybe there'll be same competitions for both sides. I don't know, but it's going to be fun. I'm so ready for it. All right, Megan Herrick saying, what's it like when Julie pauses the house guest while she talks to the audience? Does she mute herself, or does the blue screen go up and she pop in or out? We don't hear any of that. Typically what'll happen is we'll sit down, we'll hear a little bit of a cheer. Maybe the producers will say, all right, we're going live. And normally they'll say, we're going live. Y'all are going to be on screen. So get ready. And then we'll hear a cheer outside, knowing that they actually have gone live and Julie Chen is sitting there talking. But that's it. We don't really hear much else. And then all of a sudden we'll hear, hello, house guest. And we can look up and see Julie on the TV camera on the screen. And so, hey, Julie, hey, how are you? And something like that. But then soon after that, the screen goes dead. And normally the producers will say, all right, they're into, I don't remember what they call it. They're into the first roll of film. And we know that for the next 10 minutes or so, it's just going to be, what previously on Big Brother and all that kind of stuff. And so at that point, usually people say, do I have time to go to the bathroom? Do I have time to go change my shoes? Whatever. And they'll say, yeah, as long as you hurry. And so we'll do that. They'll say, all right, we're in a commercial. When we come back, we're going to be live. So y'all be ready. And then all of a sudden, Julie pops back onto our screen again, says, house guest, it's time for eviction. And we do our votes and things like that. So yeah, only when Julie is talking to us do we see her on the screen doing the talking and everything. When she's not talking to us, it's just blank. We're just sitting there. We aren't allowed to talk game. There's no, if you're on the block, you're not allowed to say, oh, please, vote for me or whatever. They don't allow any of that because they can't film that since we're sitting there without the cameras and all turned on. So you can just talk casual stuff, but you can't talk game whatsoever. And so most of the talk involves, the lady saying, hey, do I look okay? Or my flash is all right? Or, hey, production will say, hey, your necklace is banging against your microphone. Can you drop your microphone? Little things like that while we're sitting there. So now we don't see Julie except when she's talking to us. All right. Lori Sprinkle saying, do they ever take you out of the house for any competition off the Big Brother grounds? I'll put it this way. There is a time or two where we have a second competition area, and I can't tell you anything about it because if they ever take us outside the backyard in the main area, they blindfold us. And and then we're not talking just a little blindfold that you can kind of wink around and all that. Now this is like a full headgear kind of blindfold, and you're let out, and they take you another. It's all on the studio. It's not like they drive us over other parts of LA or anything like that. But there was a time or two where they use a second space just because I guess they're busy with some big set in the backyard and they're trying to get it done. But where it is, how big it is, I can't tell you anything about it because I just don't know. But yeah, every once in a while they had a second spot set up just for time reasons. And so we got that. Now there are times where people actually get to leave completely, special occasions to go see the Cowboys football game once, or the Ariana Grande concert I think they went to, and things like that. But that's different. I mean, that's part of the game, and I don't know how they do that in terms of getting from the Big Brother house to where they're going. If they're blind, surely they aren't blindfolded the whole time. I don't know, because no one in my season got to go anywhere. We didn't get concerts. We didn't get Outback Steakhouse in the backyard. We didn't get anyone coming in and doing it in concert. All this kind of fun stuff that I thought would be pretty neat if I stuck around long enough. I didn't get any of it. I want to do like Big Brother Canada, have Wendy's come in and deliver some food to us. I could do with a Frosty. That'd be all right. So yeah, but most of the competition is the backyard. Every once in a while they have one in a different location. All right. Karen Ventura saying, did anyone in the audience try telling you anything, or are they not allowed to talk? Even if they were allowed to talk, you really can't hear when you're poking your head out that door. They could be shouting at the top of their lungs. Now, I'm sure they're told not to talk. How interesting would it be if we opened the door and someone said, Christy and Tommy know each other? Several people did it once or something. Oh, Big Brother would be so upset. They would be furious. If anyone does that, first thing, they're probably getting booted out of the audience immediately. But no, there wasn't anything ever said. But what I do remember one time when the door opened, I think I've said this on here before. One time when the door opened, I just stared out and there's just one guy, some random guy, but he was staring right at me and I was staring right at him. He didn't say anything. I didn't say anything, but forever, I'll remember that guy's face because it's like, oh my gosh, I've been in a house stuck with these same 15 people for 2 months at this point. Just to see someone else's face, someone else's reaction, someone else's emotions, I don't know. It's like stranded on a desert island and someone walks around a corner and says, what are you doing here in the sand naked and all that? There's the club bed's right on the corner or something. It's like, oh my gosh, it's something different. I'm so happy to see it. So yeah, I remember that. He's just some random person. He's the face I saw when I looked out beyond where Julie was standing. So yeah, no one ever shouts anything as far as I know. All right, Mark and Patty and Moss say a couple of these. Is Thursday a double eviction? I think so. Isn't that what Julie said? Y'all correct me if that's not the case. I thought she said it was going to be a double eviction like we've never seen before, but maybe she was saying that's just the start of it. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Patty's saying, who are the next three you'd like to see leave? All right, we'll talk about that. And then let me see. And Ma's saying, what are your predictions for double eviction? All right, we'll talk about. Well, first of all, Ma, I got no clue on the double eviction because they're going to be split up into two separate teams. Who knows? Who knows how that's going to work out? Because think of it this way. If you've got a team of 5 people, because there's 10 people after this eviction, right? So you have 2 teams of 5. Now, we don't know how they're going to be picked. Is it going to be just a random draw, kind of like Survivor does? Drop your buffs, grab the veto bucket or something, grab the chips and see whose team you're on or something. Or is it going to be, what if it was like this? What if whoever survives this eviction gets to pick someone to be on their team or someone to be on the other team, and then that person picks someone to be on the other team, and you do some kind of picking strategy or something? I don't know. But you figure if you've got 5 people on a team, one person's the HOH. They pick 2 nominees, right? How many voters does that leave? That leaves 2 voters, 2 people voting. That's not many people at all, right? 2 people could decide who goes home. And theoretically, if they vote separately, if it's a 1-to-1 tie, then the HOH is the tiebreaker, decides who goes home. So you can have 2 people deciding the fate of the people on that particular team. With that being said, the leftovers who think they've got everything under control because they've got such big numbers, after this week, there's going to be 7 of them and only 3 that are not leftover alliance members. So, so they think they've got that all in hand. But if suddenly you've got a group of 5 and 3 of them, or even 2 of them, happen to be non-leftover members, they could boot anyone. So I have no idea what's going to work on the double eviction. As far as the other question about who I think the next 3 are going to be to go home, it's going to be Indy, right? For those of you who aren't aware, they had the veto ceremony this morning. Kyle did not use the veto. Apparently, Taylor acted all upset. She already knew he wasn't going to use it, but she still acted all upset. Indy was not very happy either, but he didn't use it. So it's either Indy or Terrence going home this week. I think Indy goes home on Thursday. The next 2, it's so hard with the twist, but if it wasn't for the twist, I'd say Jasmine is definitely the next one to go. And after that, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it'd be easy to pick Terrence or Alyssa. I don't know that's going to happen. I think once we get rid of 2 more people and we're down to, what would that be, 9 people? I think once you get to 9, the leftovers blow up. Someone joins up with someone else. You know, you've got Monty and you've got Brittany and Michael and Taylor perhaps, and Alyssa and Kyle that maybe go after Monty and Joseph. I don't know, and Turner. Don't know exactly how that all is going to work out. But I think maybe the 3rd eviction after Indy and Jasmine could be someone from the leftover alliance. I don't know. But again, the twist changes all of that up. We just don't have anyone. There is no one in that house right now who should feel safe at this point in time, because there is no one in that house that isn't a potential target when suddenly you're counting on only 2 people controlling your fate. That's amazing. There are going to be someone on one side or the other is going to go out of that house completely shocked and blindsided. Here's the other deal. They don't know this is going to happen. They haven't packed their bags in preparation for a double eviction of the regular kind, much less this one where you could have two people. Because normally you think, all right, it's a double eviction, but we are still in control. Leftovers have control. So even if it's a double, it's probably not going to be us, right? It's going to be the other side. Maybe they take control and send one person home. But you're thinking your odds are pretty good that you're probably not going home, even if it's a double. That's not the case with the way this twist is set up. You very well could have two people walking out that door who already were thinking about jury votes and final two at the very end, who don't have their bags packed, who walk out as a complete shock, as a complete blindside. Now, if it's a double eviction, does that? I don't know. And here's the other deal. Is it a double eviction plus Indy going home? Are we going to lose 3 people next Thursday? That seems like a lot of people, because when you have a normal double eviction, you have your standard vote, Indy goes home, and then you have a follow-up where one more person goes home. Suddenly now we're talking about 3 people in a single evening. It's almost like a BB Canada triple eviction type setup. And I don't know, maybe it makes sense because we only have 82 days in the season left as opposed to 99 days in my season, for example. So you could get away with kind of a pseudo triple eviction. So maybe we are going to have that, which I guess Indy will be happy if she doesn't go home, doesn't go to the jury house alone. Now, how funny is it going to be? Not that I'm wishing bad karma on anyone. I'm just saying, how funny would it be if it was Indy and Taylor, and who else would Indy completely hate to be in the house with? I don't know, Monty. I mean, the people she was targeting. I don't know. You could end up with some people. Of course, would you rather be in a house by yourself for a week, or would you rather have people, even if you don't necessarily think you can get along with them and all of that? I don't know. Indy seems like she may like a crowd. She wouldn't want to be alone. So she may be happy with anyone as long as it's not just her heading out the door. All right. And Nunez, 1919. Do contestants get paid to be on Big Brother? Yeah. The winner gets $750,000. Now, I know what you're asking. Yes, we get a little stipend. And I can't go into a lot of details with it. But yes, if you're on the show, you get paid a little bit. For every week that you're in the house. If you finish in the top 5 beyond, you get a little extra just for getting a little further. And I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, we get a little bit. It's not a fortune, but we get a little bit. Maintenance check says, do house guests get to order food for the house? I wish. No, every once in a while you can make a special request and they'll fulfill it. I know they thought we were so boring at the end of our season. Holly asked for some coconut milk and some things like that to make some Thai food. And they gave it to us, some bamboo and things. And they gave that to us so she could cook. But for the most part, I can't go in there and say, man, guys, I'd really like me some Rocky Road ice cream or something. They're going to say, well, Cliff, have fun with that. Here's what normally, if you request food in the Big Brother house, in the diary room, what you'll hear back is, well, Cliff, there's an easy way for you to get some of that food if you want. Just win the next HOH. And we'll make sure that we can take care of some of those requests in your HOH basket. And that's what they'll do. That's what I did. I wanted the American flag in there in the house so I could commemorate the 50th anniversary of the men landing on the moon. And asked Big Brother, said, hey, man, I'm doing this big patriotic thing for the moon landing. Surely y'all can bring a flag in here and let me do a commemorative thing, right? They said, well, Cliff, that really is something that you probably should win HOH for. And if you do, make sure you ask us and we'll see if we can't find something to put in your basket. But other than that, can't help you, guy. So what did I do? I won the battle back. I won the HOH. And immediately, as soon as I won HOH and they let us back inside, I went into the diary room and said, okay, the 50th anniversary is day after tomorrow. I want the American flag in my basket. They said, well, Cliff, we told you we'd do it. So we'll get you taken care of. And they did. But other than that, the only food you can request is if you're running low on food. Some food like eggs and things like that, they just say, well, you better budget better next week because you aren't getting any more until Thursday night. But other stuff that's big and bulky like bread sometimes and milk, things like that. If you ask and you're very polite about asking, sometimes magically overnight you'll go in there and there'll be an extra gallon or two in the refrigerator. So sometimes they'll replenish but you can't order specialty foods or anything like that. Cereal, you're stuck with Fruit Loops or whatever they give you. You can't request special anything. It's just whatever they find down at the local grocery store. All right, Tucker's Space says, please go back in the house. You're literally my favorite Big Brother player ever. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I had fun in there. It was an incredible experience. And I've always said, will I do it again? Yeah. But I'd have to ask permission from my wife and probably my kids as well, because it was certainly a family affair. I was the only person in the house, but that doesn't mean my whole family didn't sacrifice. My whole family wasn't involved in the process as well. It probably tired my wife out more than anyone. She and my mom, who stayed up watching the live feeds all night long, every single night. So, and she always gives me a hard time. She says, well, Cliff, you'd stay up as long as you could, but then you'd go to sleep. But then we had to stay up even longer to listen to everyone in the other rooms talking about you. So we knew what was getting ready to happen. So yeah, it was a tough experience for them. It was an enjoyable experience for them, I think. Yeah, I'd go back in, but they got to call me first. So CBS, hey, if you're listening, but thank you. I appreciate the kind words. Lori Madsen saying, once you got out of the house, was it hard to adjust? Oh yeah, it was incredibly hard. I'll tell you one funny thing. Right after I got out of the house, my family was out there, which so grateful to have them out there. But at one point they said, Cliff, you're out of the house. It was Saturday morning, Friday morning, or whatever. Where do you want to go eat breakfast? Just tell us. Well, you get options now. What do you want to do? And I remember for about 24, 48 hours, I told them, I said, look, y'all just pick. I'm not used to having options and all. And I'm just not, I can't even think that way. Y'all pick some places. Let me just go. And so there was a little bit of really intense adjustment of being so used to being in that house and not having any choices and just being locked in. And I remember sitting in the car while we were driving around, just going, oh my gosh, all the cars, all the sounds, all the noise. It's like being in a sensory deprivation tank for 3 months, and all of a sudden everything is coming at you. So that was tough. But the other part of the adjustment was, it does a number on you. A lot of people have this stress dream that you're dreaming that suddenly it's your last day of school. You didn't go to class. You can't remember where your classroom is. You've got a test to take and you don't know what your books are. You don't even know what the subject is. You're in your underwear. A lot of y'all know what I'm talking about, right? That kind of stress dream that so many people have. I had a stress dream for about 6 months after after being in the house, of dreaming things like, oh my gosh, we've got an eviction today and I haven't even talked to half the house. Or, oh my gosh, I just realized that these people don't like me and I never went and talked to them and did this and that. I was having Big Brother dreams because it was just so all-encompassing from a psychological standpoint. And it probably took 6 months of me just kind of being very very stressed out before finally everything started to relax a little bit and I got more adjusted to the outside world again. And there's another part as well. You're in a house with people that you can't trust any of them. They're all trying to betray you. And you get home and you almost have that same attitude a lot of times with anyone you meet at the grocery store, at the person driving the car next to you, and everything. It's like your first response to everyone is, what are you trying to say? What's the end goal here? Let me read under, what's the true intentions and all that. So yeah, there was a lot of adjustment that took place. And I think that's the same. I think that's the case for everyone in that house. It's just tough. If you aren't in there as long, maybe it's a little bit quicker transition. If you've been in there all summer long, it's hard. Because I've talked to a lot of people that have been in that house in different seasons. And there's a lot of similar feelings about how you eventually, it takes a while, but eventually you adjust back. All right. Lori Sprinkles, did you ever go to the jury house? No, but we'll talk about that. And then Patty, do you think they'll go back to showing the jury house? Yeah, I'm sure they'll show it once they usually have to get 2 or 3 people in the jury house, right? I can't remember. Jack was the first person in the jury house for my season. I don't think they showed him probably till Kat showed up, and then they started showing a little bit more about it of the jury house. And they'll do that again. They'll show every time a new person shows up. They'll show them watching the videos. Oh my God, I can't believe that person did this or that. So they'll show that. As far as the first question, did I ever go to the jury house? No, I never did, because since I was the fourth boot and I was less than a week from the finale, uh, I was told after I got booted, because I was all ready. I said, "All right, y'all gonna take me to the jury house tonight, or is it tomorrow, or what?" And they said, "Oh no, Cliff, you're not going to the jury house." And they said, "Tomorrow night we have to do the jury round table where everyone sits around and talks about, of the three left, who do we think's going to win? What have they done well? What have they not done well?" And they said, "So we're not going to drive you all the way out to wherever the jury house is tonight. Then you're going to do that tomorrow night, and it'll be too late to drive you back." And they said after that, it's just easier to have y'all all nearby, because then at that point, there's little things like they brought in a barber, and I got my hair cut, and people had to make sure that the finale clothing you were wearing would work with the cameras and things like that. So you had to start interacting with people a little bit. So the end result is I'm the only person, well, myself and the final three, that didn't go to the jury house. Tommy at number 4, or at the fifth place, he went to the jury house, spent a week there. I never did, but that's okay. I mean, it would have been nice to see what it was like and everything else. I think they had a lot of fun, and I've heard stories. They had masseuses come out. They had professional chefs come out and cook food for them. I mean, they lived like kings. I'm still happy I stayed in the house just a little bit longer. I'll take the house over the jury house any day of the freaking week. But no, I never went to the jury house. All right. Amanda Lowe saying, can't wait for Zingbot. I've said before, I think I said it last week, I feel like with these house guests, you can have a 3-hour episode of nothing but Zingbot, right? Jasmine! What? I'm not even going to start with it. Every single one of them, you can have so much fun. Zingbot's going to have a blast with Jasmine. Zingbot's going to have a blast with Kyle and Alyssa both. They're getting a little close, aren't they? Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're getting real close. All of them in that house. Yeah, Zingbot's going to be fun. I just hope that Zingbot focuses on what they've done in the house and their actions, and not making fun of their looks or anything else. I don't like body shaming. I want Zingbot to make fun of all the dumb things that they've done in the house, and there's plenty of that to go around. I mean, who am I to say? We had the same thing our season. There was plenty to go around with us as well. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Zingbot. It's gonna be a lot of fun. All right, Mark saying, is Kyle's game worse off since he didn't use a veto? I don't know. That's a good question. I didn't watch a lot of live feeds this afternoon because, I do have a real job at all that as well. But it seems like there's certainly a lot of people trying to throw Kyle under the bus at this point in time for using it. Now, I saw some people like Kyle talking to Indy and saying, look, it's nothing against you. I'm not the one who put you on the block in the first place, but I just had to, protect Alyssa. And Indy, I think, kind of understands. Of course, Indy's probably gone, but I don't know. I mean, I can't help but think that Taylor, she was upset at Alyssa for taking her trip to London away from her in the veto competition. She was ready to send Alyssa out the door for that. I can only imagine what she wants to do to Kyle for taking away some of the power she had as HOH and kind of ruining what Taylor wanted to do. Because Brittany said this, that Taylor's all about good TV and the big move. And I believe that. I agree with that. I think Taylor wanted to do something that was going to be a big aha moment for everyone watching at home and all that. She's very aware, it seems like, of us as viewers, which I like that. But you got to always play the game strategically. Sometimes, I know during my season, I knew that I could do things when I was HOH. I could turn around and screw Christy over and put her up after I'd made the promises back and forth. I could have had such a huge aha moment on TV that everyone would be talking about, but I also knew I'd probably be going home the very next week. I think Taylor's got to be a little careful about that. But having said all that, I know Taylor was after Alyssa, and I can only imagine that she's going to be after Kyle at this point as well. So I don't know. In some ways, I think it hurt his game. But in other ways, protecting Alyssa may be something that works to his advantage, as long as the two of them can can start thinking about the game and a little bit less about the kissy, because that's what worries me a little bit about that. I think the showmance more so than using the veto or not using the veto. I think the showmance has him distracted enough and other people in the alliance concerned enough that it's weakened his position because of that. So yeah, I don't know. I think could it hurt his game? Yeah, but I'll say that while also saying I think the leftover alliance is only going to last for another week or two anyway. Once it splits up, then it may not hurt his game because Kyle's going to have to declare one way or the other. Is he going to declare with the pound with those three other guys, or is he going to declare with Brittany and Michael and maybe Taylor? I don't know. Hey, we'll see. And this may affect which direction he goes as well. So it's a good question because I feel like he and Joseph have tended to be kind of in the middle. Maybe not quite so much after today. All right, Jim B, do y'all get a tour of the camera and the control room? No, and I wish we could. I would love to do it, and I've been tempted just to reach out and say, hey, would y'all just let me come and film with the promise that I won't reveal anything, I won't show anything, I'll stay completely quiet until Big Brother has been off the air. I just want to have it archived for somewhere down the road for grandkids or something. I would love to do it, but I've always got this background fear of if they let me see behind the scenes, then it probably means that they're never going to let me be in front of the camera again as a house guest, just in case there's ever any little opportunity somewhere down the road. So no, I've never seen it. Once upon a time, there was a little bit of footage out there. I think it may be on YouTube of some of the early years to see it. And I've seen some other things like Big Brother Australia and some other deals. I've seen there's a horror movie called Dead Set. It's all about zombies taking over the UK. And the house guests inside the Big Brother house don't know it. They just think it's another twist going on that suddenly no one's responding to them on the cameras or the microphones or anything. And they don't realize it. But it was actually filmed on the Big Brother set. And so a lot of things take place behind the windows. So you get to see the little tracks and how the cameras work and all that kind of stuff. I probably learned more about Big Brother from watching that horror movie than I did anywhere else. But no, they didn't give us any kind of tour. I even asked at one point, it's like, yeah, no, we don't do that. So I don't have a clue. I can guess based on what I've seen, but yeah, I don't know. I wish I did. That'd be so cool. That'd be so great. I'd love to see behind the scenes. All right, Cindy Hire. Thanks, Cindy. Tell us about tonight's background. Well, I just thought we had Muffin Gate, then we had Cider Gate, and then we had Balloon Gate yesterday, right? And maybe I shouldn't make light of it. Maybe I'm being disrespectful by showing this background. But Jasmine, if you're watching this after you're out of the house somewhere down the road, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm just having fun as I try to do on this show every single Monday night. But Jasmine went into a lot of detail yesterday saying that she wanted, because remember, her birthday and her dad's birthday fall on the same day. And I think it's on Wednesday. And she really she came up with this idea. She'd love to release a balloon in his name, watch it float away. And there's nothing wrong with that. I get it. But she was going to have to, there's a couple of things that were creating issues with that. One, she has to ask the diary room for that balloon. Well, I just told y'all the story about the American flag. They wouldn't even give me a flag. I'm not sure they were going to give her a balloon. Secondly, the backyard is typically closed by the time you get to Wednesday. So unless she's going to release it inside the house and just watch it float up to the ceiling, which would be a little anticlimactic, that may not be quite the same. But the third thing, and this is what created the issue, is she mentioned doing this, and Turner spoke up and was fairly forceful in saying, look, I'm very opposed to releasing balloons in the air. They pop, then birds eat them and choke on them, and they kill birds. And nothing against you. I'm opposed to putting balloons in the air. I saw later that I guess there's actually some kind of law either in California or Los Angeles that involves releasing balloons, that you're not allowed to do it for that very reason, for environmental purposes, I guess. So Turner said that. He didn't mean anything by it, but Jasmine, as she sometimes is wont to do, took it very personally, walked off and was very upset, spent most of yesterday complaining not only about Turner, but complaining to other people that she said Joseph was laughing about it when it wasn't funny. Other people weren't supporting her enough. And eventually Turner apologized. And I feel like for the most part, it got taken care of. She doesn't forget that kind of stuff, though. I know she won't forget it. So, yeah, as a result, the idea of a balloon, I just thought, well, Jasmine holding on to holding on to a string that's attached to a house that's attached to a whole lot of balloons. Big Brother house in space, right? A theme for next year, up in space, Big Brother space station. Do something like that. But yeah, it's from the movie Up. And speaking of, I've never seen the movie Up. That's one of those I haven't seen. I hear so many people talk about how sad it is, at least the first part. I don't think I want to see it because I'm just not in the mood for that kind of crying action right now. But it's from the movie Up, and one of these days, maybe I'll take a gander at it. All right. Richard Cross. At this stage, Kyle protecting his showmance at the expense of his alliance relations is very suspect of him getting ready to turn on them. I think you're right. And Joseph put it well last night, I think. Joseph said, look, when Taylor put Indy on the block, no one in this alliance had any issues. There was no blowback whatsoever. We were all like, yeah, fine, put her on the block. He said, now the idea of putting Alyssa on the block has created all kinds of blowback. We're arguing with each other, or at least we're trying to convince each other of stuff. There's obvious blowback with Alyssa. He said, for that reason alone, Kyle, I'm not saying that you're not loyal to the alliance. I'm just saying that there's extra blowback with Alyssa, which suggests that there's an issue regardless of what your loyalty is, regardless of whether there's a trust issue or anything else. That alone shows that there's something going on. And I think that was well put, because it's not necessarily that Kyle is less loyal. I question it a little bit too. It's not that he's less loyal, but if the rest of the alliance wonders if he's as loyal as he needs to be, as I say all the time, perception is reality in this game. It doesn't matter what Kyle actually believes. It's what the rest of them believe about Kyle. Taylor, when she eventually kind of gave up on this idea of him using the veto, she said, well, I just hope in 2 weeks we aren't all regretting this decision. That's the kind of stuff that's going to help drive the wedge into the leftovers. It's going to help split them up. So yes, I agree. It's a tough situation. It's tough to be in a showmance at all. It's even tougher to be in a showmance when your partner isn't part of the alliance that you're loyal to. I don't know how they're doing it. That is a tough road to hoe. Kyle said, yeah, I'll cut her loose when it's time to cut her loose. And I'll just say it's because you're not part of the alliance. Well, that's easier said than done, right? I have a feeling Alyssa may not be quite so understanding as Kyle makes it out to be, especially considering that they got a little more intimate recently. So yeah, it's I tell you what, forget anything else that happens from this point forward. At one point, Kyle, a day or two ago, told the guy, said, I know a showmance is kind of dangerous, but it's so boring in here. I just had to do something because it was so boring. I have a feeling Alyssa's going to watch that and say, oh, so I was just your option away from boring, right? That's why you did. Yeah, I think there's going to be all kinds of discussions they're going to have when they get out of this house. I don't know how any showmance survives once the people are out of the house. And we've had more showmances turned into marriages and children or anything else than The Bachelor, Bachelorette, Survivor, anything. Survivor doesn't have a lot of showmances, right? You're stinky and you haven't bathed in 30 days. Not a lot of showmance on there, but some people make it work. It amazes me how. I have no clue how they do it. All right. What else do we have on here? Janet Johnson. Why do you think of Julie being so evasive about what's going to happen? It's so confusing. We're being left out in the dark somewhat. Yeah, and there's two things I'll say about that. One is I think it's intentional because they want to keep us talking. There's so many smart Big Brother fans out here. If they tell us exactly how this twist is going to work, we're going to walk through all the scenarios and we're going to be able to come out with a 80% certainty rate about what's going to happen before it even is announced to the house guests on Thursday. Yeah, I really think it's a situation where they want to keep us in the dark because otherwise we'll get it all figured out and it won't be as much fun. And so that's good intention. Here's the other thing, and I don't have anything to base this on other than just old cynical Cliff over here. I always wonder, do they know exactly how this twist is going to work? Or are they keeping us in the dark because they're still trying to hash out exactly how it's going to work? And some of the decision making is going to be based on what happens between now and Thursday. Who's nominated, who's potentially going home, who's arguing back and forth. I just feel like there could be little bits and pieces. Like, how are they going to pick these two teams? Well, that may come down to a decision based on what's happening between now and Thursday. Again, it's just me being the cynical person that sometimes I am, the paranoid person and all that. But I think that's part of it. I think they're still trying to figure out exactly how they want to make this thing work. And if they don't tell you, then they can change it up to the very last minute, and we're none the wiser, right? So I'm kind of guessing it's a combination of those two things. All right, Fred Benson turns 53 tomorrow. Happy birthday, Fred. 53 is a wonderful age. 53 is how, well, I was going to say how old I was when I went in the house. I guess I was 54 when I went in the house. I was 53 when I tried out for Big Brother. So 53 is a pretty good year. Other than missing my wife for 3 months. That's the worst part of my being 53. That was a down part of my that year. But happy birthday to you. I hope you have a wonderful celebration. Do a little bit of celebrating. I celebrate in the house. I hope you do a little celebrating as well. So happy birthday to you. And I'll be waiting to see you on Big Brother. It's your turn to try for it, right? Oh, Terrence. Terrence is finding it a little harder than he thought to adjust to being in a house with a bunch of youngsters, isn't he? It's not easy. All right. Aaron Hunter. If Joseph can keep up the insane but good social game, he can win if he starts winning comps. I agree. And we all know that he's been throwing those comps, right? I mean, I know he's admitted some of them. I don't know if he's gone full speed on any competition so far. Maybe, but I wouldn't be surprised to find out that he's loafing on every single one. I mean, he's a personal trainer. I know he's an attorney, but he also is a personal trainer and all that. And I just think, yeah, his social game is insane. And Michael and Brittany have caught on to that, right? I mean, they're getting upset that they're sitting there sticking their necks out. They're doing kind of the dirty work. Joseph still has this tight relationship with the girls. Everyone in the house seems to like him for the most part. And yeah, so I think he's been able to avoid getting a lot of enemies in that house. From a jury vote standpoint, he's golden. That's the only issue. Do you want to take Joseph to final two? Nah, I'd want to boot him as quickly as possible. My nightmare scenario would be a final three of Joseph and Michael and me. How are you going to win with something like that? So that may be an issue. But no, he's playing great. If towards the end here, he suddenly starts winning competitions so he can enhance his resume from a comp standpoint, but also then control what's happening. And it's sure a lot easier to win competitions at the end when there's only 7 or 8 people than in the beginning when there's 16 people, right? So he can suddenly have repetitive wins and control a lot of what happens. And I think physically he's entirely capable of doing it. He's smart. He's an attorney. Not that all attorneys are smart, but I tend to think they're probably a little smarter than some other groups. And so I think mental competitions, I think physical competitions, he's going to win a lot of them. He's going to have the jury votes support. The only issue, other than him being a big target, the other thing too, how are Jasmine and Indy and Alyssa and Terrence, I guess, as well. So, how are they going to feel when they know that they've basically been played for the last 3 or 4 weeks once they're each booted from the house? Because if I'm going up against Joseph as the final two, that's the first thing I'm saying is, guys, I know y'all love Joseph, but he played you like a fiddle from start to finish. That'd be my goodbye message from this point on, I think. How is Indy going to be a bitter juror? Assuming she's in a jury house. She said maybe she wouldn't even be there, but I think she'll be there. But would Indy be a bitter enough juror that she would not give it to Joseph just because she felt betrayed by him? Or would she reward the social work that he put in to get to where he was? I don't know. I don't know how this jury's going to behave just yet. We'll see. That's why it's going to be so much fun watching how they respond in that jury house. All right, just Micah. The biggest problem between Kyle and Alyssa is him keeping her in the dark about everything. She's going to be so mad. It blows me away that she is so willing just to let him kind of do stuff without asking a whole lot of questions, right? Yesterday, he was talking to her, and he was saying, look, I can't really tell you anything. Get ready to sneeze. It comes at the worst times. He said, I'm not going to tell you anything. Please don't tell anybody, but there's plans in action. We're going to be able to work together here pretty quick, part of the same group and all that, but you can't say anything to anyone. And he has such little trust in her ability to keep her mouth shut that he truly is. He's just an iron curtain. He won't say anything to her about game, it seems like. And if I was her, it would drive me bonkers thinking that I was getting carried to the end without being aware of everything that was going on. It really hurts her position. Tell you what, if they get rid of Kyle at some point, Alyssa's going to be floundering. I truly think, because I don't think she hasn't felt the need to play a strategic game because Kyle's playing it for her, which short term fine, longer term, she better be careful about that. Yeah, I think that's a real issue. All right, Chaz is saying, better person to take the final three, Jasmine or Terrence? Yeah, playing the Big D strategy, right? Although Jasmine has won one HOH. Now, it does involve pie eating, and I won't go in. Zingbot can have a joke right there, but I'll put it this way. I'm a confident guy. I feel like if I made it to the final three or final two with Jasmine and Terrence, I'd feel pretty good about my chances talking to the jury. Yeah, of the two, I don't know. I'd probably take Terrence just because Jasmine's got friends in Indy and Alyssa. I mean, maybe not. Alyssa's a little mad at Jasmine. A lot of people mad at Jasmine, but I don't know. I feel like it would be way too cocky for me to say, I don't care because I'm going to beat either one of them if you put up either one of them against me. But I kind of feel like that deep inside. I've always said, if you can make it to the final two, you deserve to be there. But just because you make it to the final two doesn't mean that you deserve to be the top champion. And I'm saying right now, I don't think Terrence or Jasmine, either one, deserves to take home the $750,000 check this year. Now, if they do, I don't know. If come the finale night, Jasmine gets up, kicks her boot off, and she does a little jitterbug dancing in the middle of the thing and says, I never even hurt my ankle. The whole thing was, I'm a stunt woman. I never even bothered her at all. Well, maybe I'll give her credit and maybe I'll look at her a whole different light. But other than that, yeah. What would CBS think about that? What would CBS think if the final two was Jasmine versus Terrence to see who gets the $750,000? That actually would be kind of funny. I'm not going to wish it on CBS. I'm not going to wish it on us as viewers. That'd be kind of funny, wouldn't it? I don't know. Yeah. Big D's got some fans, I think, or some people who watched his strategy last season. All right. With that being said, we'll finish it on that. I'll call it a high note because I've been cheering for Terrence. I want the older guy to do well. And Jasmine, yeah, maybe I haven't been cheering for her a lot, but she makes me chuckle. Every time I watch her and her sayings and all that, I mean, sometimes it's over the top. Yeah, but that's all right. I still laugh whenever she's on the screen. So I don't mean anything bad by it. Terrence, Jasmine, if you're watching, I love both of you. But you got to expect a little ribbing here and there. All right, on that high note, we're going to finish this up because it is 8 o'clock. I'm having so much fun this season. We're halfway there. And then we got shut down for a little while. Not here, because I'll be here every Monday night at this point going forward. So, as I said at the beginning, guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Turn on your notifications because I don't do just the Monday Night Live. I also do the morning recaps every morning. It's been 20, 25 minutes. Just a quick recap of everything that happened overnight. Some nights a little boring. Other nights incredibly exciting. You won't know if you don't check them out, but I'll let you know everything that happens. So please subscribe, turn on notifications. I'd appreciate that. And with that, guys, y'all have a fantastic Monday. Have a fantastic week. By next Monday, we're going to know all about this twist. We'll talk about whether we think it's good, bad, somewhere in between. It'll be a lot of fun to talk about. So with that, guys, SKD143. Love my wife, love my kids, love all of y'all. Y'all have a fantastic week, and I will be back tomorrow morning for the recap. I'll be back next Monday for another live episode. Y'all have a great one. Cheers, guys.